Welcome to the Derek O'Shea Show, where we discuss culture, news, politics, and more. Sit back, relax, and I hope you enjoy the show. Be sure to tell your friends and family about the revolution.
Come on, man.
What's up, everyone? Welcome to the Derek O'Shea thing. Thank you so much for taking time out of your day to hang out with me. I had my sound off, of course. I hope you guys are having a fantastic day. If you want to support my show, you can go to buymeacoffee.com/Derek O'Shea Show. That's buymeacoffee.com/Derek O'Shea Show. I would greatly appreciate it. Link is in the description below. If you want to share this on all social media pages, do it. I don't want to start off the show like I said at the beginning. I'm going to start off this show by holding a candlelight vigil for Peter Doocy. And the pain and trauma that he must be undergoing, experiencing, as we pray for his family and him to recover from a day of being called an SOB by a sitting president. I'm outraged. I am flabbergasted. I am enraged. Any thoughts?
It'd be qualified as hate speech.
I feel very hateful listening to it. Let us pray. I think he's okay. So my favorite thing about the whole Peter Doocy situation is this. The fact that he came out and he talked to Biden and he laughed about it and he took it on the chin and he doesn't care and he's going on and he's moving on. If it was reversed from last year, they'd be talking about this for like 20, 30, 40, 50 years.
1,000%.
About how Trump said the most nasty thing. I even saw today on The View, how The View people were like, you know, Trump said evil things too. And I'm like, you can't just take an L for a minute. You got to back your boy all the time.
Right, he wasn't like mad about it.
Right, he was laughing about it because I would laugh too because it's like an aggressive, cranky old man, and you just let it roll.
Right.
Probably had no idea he even said it, and then after he said, like, I don't even care. Like, who cares?
Right.
Of course, Biden said
he
that.
He did an entire story and segment on something completely different today.
Right.
He didn't make any mention of it, which is honestly kind of BA. It's like, you know, watching the explosion behind and walking away.
Yeah.
Not looking back.
You know, I'm just like, honestly, between me and you and me, monkey. By the way, are you one of the monkeys that was found out of the truck, the CDC truck that got knocked over, and you have tests going on?
No, I'm one of the monkeys from the set of Wizard of Oz.
Oh, perfect. Even worse. But I just love how, like, no one cared and no one's freaking out about Peter Doocy, and no, like, it's just saying, I get so tired of how corporate media wants to put so much emotion and lose their minds of things. It's like
identity politics, isn't it? Because it's, I mean, you're just focusing on the and like personality of a person rather than their
right.
And
like one
one actually cares.
I get tired of like the corporate media like implying emotion constantly, where they're just like, Peter must be devastated right now. It's almost like right now with like Biden getting ice cream, all the corporate media are like losing their minds about him getting ice cream. Like, I could freaking care less.
Or losing his mind that he did that?
Yeah, that he went and got ice cream today with like the inflation the way it is. There's a war, impending war, and people are like losing their minds about him getting ice cream. I don't care.
No, to be honest, I side with them.
Okay. Talk to me. Why? You are seriously outraged that he went out and got.
I'm not outraged. Absolutely not. But I think it's hilarious that they're still allowing him to
be in public.
No, yes, they're allowing him to play into this persona of being the president who just enjoys a third scoop. It's weird. It's weird.
You,
It's
you feel like
very grandpa-y.
you feel
So
like
they are not making him look any better by allowing him to go out, get his ice cream, the photo op. I mean, sure, there's other important things going on, and maybe that's the argument that the corporate media make. But
yeah.
my point is, it just makes him look soft. And why would you, if you're like his staff, why would
Okay,
you?
I can kind of get that. Like it makes him kind of look like
Just
a
a
very
kid.
old grandpa.
Yeah, he's just a kid. He's just a grandpa. Wants to hang out with the kids.
Yeah.
Go get some Scream.
You got some chocolate chip.
I think it's just weird.
I can understand that, but at the same time, I'm like, he's just getting ice cream. The weirdest part is like the fact that there's all these cameras around that he's getting ice cream to make him seem like he's like this personable person, I guess.
What do you expect?
I don't know. Honesty, truth,
Out of the media?
out of the.
That's what you want.
That's what I want. I mean, I'm just
You
like
always want what you don't have.
only with Biden. I'm just kidding.
Definitely.
I don't. Who cares? I just don't care.
Yeah, no one cares. Move along.
But you said you cared.
I do care.
You feel like he should be in the room right now, undergoing talks with.
I
Putin.
no, yeah. If you want
He's not
to,
allowed to go out and get ice cream.
if you're worried about his image appearing soft or weak or downtrodden and everything he's done has been a failure,
Yeah.
what you don't want to do is continue playing into that.
Okay.
Unless you're doing it on purpose.
Well, I don't think he has an image of being soft. I think he has an image of not knowing what's going on and being a grumpy old man that is calling, news reporters sons of bitches and stuff like that.
So again, him going out for ice cream, just acting happy-go-lucky. No,
Okay.
just like, la-di-da, it's a Tuesday in January, and I'm out for ice cream, hanging with the people. It's a little out of touch.
Yeah.
Out of touch. He's not reading the room. I think everyone's pissed off right now, and I think we need a president who can be a leader and also get pissed off about where we are right now. Not in the way he's been pissed off before, but in the effort of bringing unity to the people.
I could agree with that part where it's like maybe it's time to have a potential another press conference. I know he just did one, but
yeah, when's the next State of the Union? We get a Google on that?
Isn't it coming up?
Could be.
It's
usually I thought it was usually mid-January.
I don't know. Can you look it up for us?
Definitely look that up.
Sweet.
That'll be interesting.
Yeah, I just don't.
What could he say? We pulled out of Afghanistan.
Right.
We ended COVID. We brought down gas prices.
No. We added gas prices.
We cut inflation.
Yeah.
The overall taxpayer is paying less at the grocery store and the gas pump.
So there's a new bill being put through to legalize magic mushrooms, aka shrooms, in Washington State right now.
It's a push to do what with Washington State?
Magic mushrooms just came down the pipe.
To legalize or decriminalize?
Yeah, to legalize it, because
As in to sell it at like dispensaries?
I don't know.
Because I thought it was already
Yeah, you can decriminalize something first before you legalize it. This would legalize it. This would means that you can.
You could sell it.
Yeah, you could. Well, I don't know if you could sell it. I would assume it'd probably be like marijuana or like alcohol. You can't just like sell alcohol in the street or sell marijuana in the street still. So it's probably just the same. I mean, I don't care. I don't understand. I don't understand why so many Republican and conservatives care about that so much, about drugs. I mean, if you want to be the party of freedom, stand for it.
Right.
I don't know. Is that a crazy thought?
No, not at all. The State of the Union is on Tuesday, March 1st. At least that's what it's scheduled.
Oh, March 1st? Why did I think it was like at the end of January?
I always thought
Isn't it always in January?
I thought it was mid. I have no idea.
Yeah, I'm confused about that. Immigration. Did you watch the press briefing at all today?
Which press briefing?
Or the press conference with Jen Psaki? Yeah.
No, what did she say?
I didn't watch it either. I just didn't know.
No. Anytime I hear her voice, I go to the bathroom.
All right, I want to listen to this. So this is Peter Ducey asking a question, which I always love. Shout out to Peter Deuce. Not because I'm love the fact that he's from Fox News or something like. It has everything to do with just a different tone, person asking questions.
He actually
America's Guard, what up, dude?
He actually usually asks the most pointed question.
Yeah, well, it's just different. It's just
but they're not even that aggressive. They're just logical.
Right.
His questions are what everyone is wondering. They're not that deep or philosophical. It's just a straight up question about a thing that's happening.
Yeah, it's just a different narrative. I mean,
day after day, they don't answer him.
Right. Well, you can't. Yeah. Oh, it's just kind of like with Trump and stuff like that with what's his face from CNN.
Yeah.
God, he was the worst. He was so obnoxious. But I don't think Peter's nowhere near that kind of insanity.
Right.
As was Jim Acosta. That's it.
Jim Acosta.
All right, I want to listen to this question. Here we go. Let's listen. Peter Ducey asking a question about hashtags. This should be a good one.
And the last one, the Secretary of State a few days ago tweeted, I #stand with Ukraine. Has that ever worked at stopping an authoritarian regime from doing anything?
I will have to say that unlike the last administration, we don't think Twitter is the only means of engaging or negotiating or discussing important topics. But it is important for us to convey to the Ukrainian people who do view commentary through a range of forums. I don't know how many are Fox News watchers, maybe some of them, and including social media, that we stand with them, we support them. And that includes in their efforts to protect the sovereignty of their country. Go ahead.
But, okay, to some degree, Peter is right on the money.
It's a great question.
Honestly, because we have a culture of people that are just I don't want to do anything. I just want to tweet about it. I want to hashtag it. I stand with Ukraine.
Right. Has that ever worked?
No.
Because and her response, of course, was to compare it to Trump and his overusage and abuse of Twitter, which isn't the point because he's not saying, Peter Ducey isn't saying that what Trump did was effective. He's just asking if this is effective now.
I generally get so bored of this administration continuously talking about Trump. It's we get it. You had a boogeyman. He's your scapegoat.
It's been over a year.
I know. Well, everything bad in the world that's ever happened, every cancer, every disease, every virus, every murder has to do because of Trump. I want all the bad things in the world to happen to you and only you. I just get so bored of it. America's Guard says barely anyone on our side watches Fox. We fled the alt media to get away from the mainstream lame-o. Yeah, I don't really watch Fox. I sometimes I'll put it in the background just to see if there's anything breaking, but I don't watch it because I think it's interesting.
It's not.
Besides Tucker, Tucker's the only person that seems like he has a voice. He's a podcast where he allows his guests to have a voice and talk and not just
Tucker talks about ideals.
Right.
The rest of Fox, the other 23 hours in the day, is just talking points and repeating talking points.
Right. And
dudes and blondes talking about talking points. And so it's not interesting at all. But then you watch, from 6 to 7 for Tucker or whatever time zone you're in. And it's great.
Whatever time zone. Yeah, I think people are done with the mainstream media. I like how Fox News tries to pretend like they're not. They call everyone else mainstream media. We're Fox Entertainment Television. We're not an actual news organ.
It's interesting though because I think this.
Yeah, America's Guard.
I think it's interesting because this actually speaks to what's happening in real time with like the majority of Americans not paying attention to the sources that are supposed to be, you know, the ones breaking news. Is that so many people have become disillusioned by the news.
Yeah.
They won't, I think you could tell them the New World Trade Center is falling and they wouldn't believe you because they don't know
Yeah.
what's true and what's fake.
They'd be like, wait, what are they really trying to tell me?
Right. Yeah, what narrative does this play into? Are you saying we should go to war with Afghanistan because the World Trade Center is falling? You know, they would spin it immediately. But that's what we've been trained to do with news.
Yeah, I struggle like with news stuff, like where I'm trying to read into things. Sometimes I have to catch myself. I'm reading into things too much. Where I'm like, where I see the thing about the monkeys thing, and that like toppling over, and then like CDC says don't touch them, and then some lady gets hissed on or something, and then she develops a bunch of symptoms like COVID-like symptoms and cold-like symptoms, and she gets like pink eye and stuff like that. And as soon as I read that, I was like, "Is this a false flag? Is this like what's really going on? Like what's really going on? Is this like the new pandemic about to explode?" But then I have to check myself and go, maybe it's just a truck that fell over.
Yeah, and
with monkeys in there.
And I think we're also so used to being lied to.
Yes.
That you start to question if everything is just a lie. You really question, is this something that's going to be proven false in 3 days and then ruled as a hoax or whatever?
Or just not like mentioned because it's false.
Yeah.
Justin says all mainstream media is propaganda now. Fox, CNN, it doesn't matter. I do kind of like Tucker Carlson. Yeah, humor though. That's what we were kind of saying.
It's all propaganda.
Yeah. Well, they all get fed a narrative.
What shocks me is how both of them play into the same narratives without even realizing they're both doing it.
Yeah. What do you mean?
Like, today, Fox in the background on one of their like news report programs was talking about the third Omicron variant. And okay, this is a little conspiracy, but I think so many of Fox's freaking viewers are so sick of hearing about the new variants and the new COVID and COVID this and COVID that, and everyone is so done with it. So I'm sitting there thinking to myself, why are you perpetuating the, perpetual roller coaster that is COVID and its variants when your listeners don't actually care? And I think it's because it gets clicks and it gets views.
Maybe. I feel like also maybe they're being told that they need to talk about it and like they need to. I think there's that feeling there at Fox News where they feel like some of the people on like some of the right or they're like the populist people, which is like the huge movement for America's first kind of movement, and Republicans and stuff like that. They don't know what to deal with that, and they're like the old school neocon conservatives where they're like, yeah, let's go to war with Russia. Like we're down for whatever. We also need to push down some of the things from whatever's going on in like the higher ups as far as like politicians and stuff like that. So I think they're like in a crossroads. That's why Tucker Carlson is like feels like a breath of fresh air in comparison to all of the rest of them. I mean, I don't know. Cause like, especially because I get so tired of like Fox News, they try to pretend like they're different, but yet they have like 5 hosts. And then they have like those 5 hosts like host like 10 different shows throughout the day.
So true.
And they like try to repackage it like it's something new every single time.
Right.
They're like Jesse Waters, I think just got a new show, and it's like you're on like 10 shows already.
Right.
What?
Greg Gutfield's on 2 shows.
Yeah. Go get some
Dana
new
Perino.
talent. Go try to invest in like maybe new voices, some young voices. We don't all want to see the same like 3 white guys. Like I just get so bored. Not there's anything wrong with white guys. I just like it's like the same black haired dude with like slick back hair. Like I just get so with a American pin. I just get so bored. I get bored with that.
Yep.
Like there's nothing. There's no nuance.
No, and I think a lot of people have picked up on it, which is why I just think being disillusioned to the news and to what's happening is on purpose.
Yeah.
distraction politics. This is, in my little conspiracy theory head, this is all on purpose, that we're all just so jaded by being lied to every single day. And so when things actually do get real, do happen, I don't think people are going to even talk about it because they're going to be so...
Well, it's like that movie. What's that movie, the Netflix movie?
Something comet hit the earth.
Yeah.
Don't look up.
Don't look up.
Yep.
There were so many people like shitting on that movie, but that movie, I thought that movie was great. It is a perfect example of like
Perfect representation of what's happening.
Like when
it doesn't matter which side or what their message was. It applies to what's happening.
Like when there's like a real issue, like inflation or like our expenditure or the way we print money, that's a real issue.
The shelves are empty.
Like our supply chain, like those are real issues, and we're like, no, let's start a war, let's do something else, or like it's not.
Or let's not talk at all because we all disagree, and we're all so tired of bickering.
It's not fitting with the polls. Like the polls aren't showing me that we should talk about this. It's not in favor. I get so bored of poll numbers. Oh my God. If I hear another person talk about Joe Biden's low poll numbers, I could freaking... My problem...
They're not real.
Here's my problem with people talking about Joe Biden's low poll numbers is because people like gloat about it, but no one's talking about the reasons why people's lives are not doing as well as they used to do.
Way worse.
And so like, yeah, poll numbers, fantastic. And like we'll have an election soon, but yeah, my life is affected deeply over those poll numbers.
Right.
Like inflation is real. It's affecting my wallet, the housing crisis, supply chain, potential war with Russia. Like when we're talking about poll numbers, how about he's just doing a shitty job?
Well, but don't you think a poll number is a representation of how people feel? So they're trying to draw attention to that?
Yes, but I think it's like a easy talking point in comparison to talking about inflation or talking about supply chain or talking about like it. When the world isn't doing well, when you and I aren't doing well, when our wallets aren't doing well, of course the poll numbers are going to be bad. That should just be a given. Why are we even talking about it? But people talk about it all the time.
Right.
I just feel like I feel like corporate media are like cheap content creators who like to comment on obvious, stupid things instead of actually doing journalism, doing deep dives, trying to figure out the truth. I don't know.
Well, it has to be a moneymaker.
Well, yeah, of course.
So what is the problem then? Is the problem that we're too stupid to keep clicking on these stupid things?
Maybe. I think it's just people don't have like enough time in the day to research articles or like to do. I just feel like journalism.
I don't think people are too stupid.
No.
I think it's because they get all this money from so many different corporations and companies want to do bargains and arguments about what they can and can't talk about on air. And because you do see it with the views, like CNN's views don't even get 1 million per show.
Right.
Or per night. It's gotta be per show.
Right.
But so people really are tuning out, and yet they still keep repeating these same things, and they're not effectively gaining any viewers back with what they're doing.
Right.
And so it has to be the money is coming from the top.
Yeah. Well, I mean, what is it? That James Lindsay
they
guy
have to they have to keep doing it, right? Because they're making money off of it.
Doing what?
Like just not talking about the actual issues, talking about poll numbers, like to your point. Why do they do that?
Because they just want to keep Americans fat with lighthearted information. They don't you don't want to get too bogged down with real truth information out there because people can't handle it. People have real life issues at home. They can't go home and like find out like, you know what? The way we're printing money and the way like we're in debt and the way we continuously spend, our dollar isn't worth crap. Especially if everyone in the world decides, you know what? I'm not going to use the dollar anymore. We're screwed.
You think they're not highlighting big stories because people are too. What?
Yeah. And I also think like it would require some of these hosts to actually do research. It would require them to have better writers. And why would you talk about something like that when you could just talk about something silly AOC did? And then people laugh, and then people feel good on the inside, and they're like, she's so silly. And then they could just move on with their day. And then they could say things like, the mainstream media said this. And then people go, yeah, get that mainstream media. As opposed to like, let's talk about real issues. What's going on in the world? What's going on in China? What's going on with Ukraine and Russia? Why should we really care? Like people, I just feel like it's easier to talk about AOC. It's easier to talk about Nancy Pelosi and her eyebrows. It's easier to make fun, like, instead of actually doing real journalism where it requires work.
Easier to talk about Peter Ducey.
It's easier to talk about Peter Ducey. I was just about to play this clip from The View because I think it's a perfect example of being so entrenched in your tribe that you can't you
can't see the irony.
The irony or truth. Hi-Hat Low-Hat said, great point. Thank you. 2023, Fed now, digital currency, bye-bye dollar. Yeah, I think the Fed will they'll get the digital currency so they can have something to combat crypto. And so they can kind of control how crypto is as opposed to like, the American people dictating what crypto we feel like is most viable to use. And they're like, no, we'll make a crypto.
Do you think they
can inflate it?
Exactly.
Like it's all about control. It's all about like in the end, just like with corporate media, just like with like politicians, the American people lose out in the end because we're so concentrated on these silly arguments and fighting amongst each other and cultural wars where we like actually don't band together and go, you know what? Actually, these people are kind of screwing us.
That's my whole thing, because I think that when we can start to have conversations on what we agree on, we can actually have some progress and movement.
Yes.
Among the people.
Right.
The non-elites.
Right.
But this is why I'm so frustrated, is because I think we are at a point in society where everyone notices what's going on around us, but no one feels comfortable talking to each other about it. You can't criticize the insane gas prices, the empty shelves. You can't criticize the inflation. You can't
without
criticize
being labeled a white Trump supporter.
Exactly.
White supremacist.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so they've done an excellent job of instilling this type of fear and insecurity in your beliefs, for fear of being associated with a certain group that is unliked by whoever, even if that group is less than 0.25% of the entire population.
Right. 330 million people. There's gonna be crazy people.
You just don't want to be labeled the weird kid sitting alone at the lunch table.
Right.
For your views. And it's crazy to me, because I think people who would disagree with me on a lot of things are still upset and pissed off about gas, empty shelves, inflation, the border. The list goes on and on.
The border is a fringe idea.
The border is fringe, sure, but I think
I don't think it's fringe. But people on the other side would, or people with a different mindset, people part of the narrative, people part of the establishment, they see it as like very fringe and like, wow, what are you racist? What are you, crazy? You're just one of those crazy, you just want to build a wall. You feel like you're safer that way.
But I think a lot of people
taking your job.
But I think a lot of people know that there are hundreds and thousands of people moving across the border every day, and that can't be good for the stability of any country. I think people inherently know.
Yeah,
and I'm talking about the people. I'm not talking about the media.
Yeah, but they're so weak to not talk about it. It's just like some of the transgender athletes, males taking, normies, thank you, Hi-Hat Laura, taking over female sports. Like, there are some issues where they know it's wrong in their heart. They just don't want to talk about it.
I think 95% of people would agree for allowing trans men Trans men or trans women? Oh,
Trans women.
trans women.
I would-
Anyways,
We're
biologically,
learning here, people.
biologically male athletes into women's sports, I think
dare you.
95% of people would agree that's not good for women.
But they would never say it.
That's what I'm saying.
I know.
Because everyone is so disillusioned and jaded and tired of bickering with each other, and they're also the ones who want to start the conversation are afraid of being labeled Trump supporting white supremacist domestic terrorist. And then what about the people on the liberal or left side? They don't want to criticize it for fear of being told,
Well,
I
'cause
told
they'll-
you so, or they know they
They'll
voted
get put in
for
the camp
this.
with us.
They know no, I don't think so. I think
Yeah, Bill Maher is being seen as like right wing fringe. They're like slowly pushing that narrative.
that's ridiculous. You gotta be kidding me.
No, they're like he's lost it.
You've got to be kidding me.
No, it's just the same with like J.K. Rowling, who's like super liberal. She came out and said like women are women and men are men, and people are like, you're not coming to the Harry Potter anniversary now.
This is
like,
it's
You can't have a
insanity.
different opinion. If you have a dissenting opinion, you are taken down.
This is insanity, and it's all because these people refuse to deny facts.
Right. Well,
No,
Right,
that's
no, it is
it. They
facts.
refuse to agree with an ideology that they don't see is rooted in truth.
it's
And
like
so, because they don't go along with the new thing, the new cult, wokeism, whatever, they get canceled. Even if they are super left or super liberal, or
yeah, and
it's insane.
I mean, I can understand that fear. Like I have that fear for myself sometimes. Like what if I say something like something that somebody is gonna get really offended by, and then they're gonna like dox me and stuff like that. But at the same time, you can't fear for that because walking around in fear of what you're gonna say constantly is you don't want to carry that kind of anxiety in your life. You want to have some kind of integrity or stand for something. Be an adult and be like, you know what? I'll take that on the chin. I mean, people call me all kinds of crazy crap, and so like I just don't listen to them. But you're not allowed to have so there's an MMA fighter, there's a trans female MMA fighter that beat the shit out of a girl in Australia, and I think like that person didn't even tell them that they transitioned recently and stuff like that, but people feel so uncomfortable to even have a conversation about it that like women are just being hurt in the long run, whether it's sports or
It's
or
awful.
like saying things like birthing people.
It's an abuse of power.
Yeah.
And it is hurtful.
Oh, it's all power.
It's very hurtful, and it's very insulting
As it should be.
to people who identify as female,
Right.
who are women, who were born female at birth, and
Feminist women.
and who go through things like labor and pregnancy,
Right. And I'm like, no, actually, I know what that feels
ovarian
like.
cancer, things that only
Right.
biological females go through. It's very insulting.
This is what happens when you have like a whole different philosophical mindset and it's competing with ideas. That's why you had like Matt Walsh on Dr. Phil, and him and the transgender person on the show, they couldn't agree on terms. They couldn't agree on definitions because it's fluid. And so once you start to go down that route,
That is why we are at a critical point, because we don't agree on terms. And when you don't agree on terms, you go to war with each other. Don't agree on the definitions. When
yeah,
you don't agree on what things mean, and I'm not even talking about transgender, I'm talking more in a broad. When you're seeing the same story
right.
of a news story being told two completely different ways, you don't see it eye to eye, and you can't, because you're only listening. Most people are only listening to the side they want to hear.
Oh, I mean, I find myself doing that sometimes, but yeah.
I definitely do that, but that's the problem with the
Right.
corruption of the media and lying to us all the time is.
Well, you have like three. You have like you used to have 3 channels, and they all pretend like they were different. Now it's like 10 channels, and they all pretend that they're different when they're in reality they're all the same.
That's the problem. Is they're all the same, but they're all lying. It's not like they're all the same and they're all telling the truth. They're all telling different versions of the same stories. And so no one agrees in society on the definitions of terms or meanings of stories. You
Right.
saw it with the Kyle Rittenhouse thing.
How dare you bring that up?
One half of the country was learning about the case and watching the case and the trial.
Right.
The other half of the country thought that 3 black men got shot that night.
I have family members that thought 3 black people were shot.
While the case was going on. I mean, this is like a year after the story happened.
Mm-hmm.
So for a year, half the country believed that 3 black men were shot in this story.
Yep.
And then the case is going and you have facts coming out and they still believe that because one half of the news is not telling the truth. They're not repeating or reporting the facts.
There are conspiracy theories.
And the
on both
other one
sides.
is repeating or reporting facts. And I don't know what their crime is. Maybe giving their too much opinion. I'm just biased, but
Right. Well, yeah. I don't know. Speaking of that, let's watch this clip from The View. I think it's a perfect example of what you just talked about. All right, I'm going to play it. The quick example of just a perfect what it's like to be a part of a tribe. And even when your person is wrong, fighting for them to the death because I believe they're a good person.
He should apologize to the American people.
No, I don't think he should apologize to the American.
I
Did
do.
Trump apologize
No, but
for calling Jim Acosta a rude, terrible person?
No, but
Abby
I think-
Phillips,
I think what
questions
Lisa-
are stupid, etc.
Even Cecilia Vega, he
Yeah.
said, you never think.
But I think what
But that
Lisa's
doesn't
saying
give
is
him-
because it's wrong. It
Yeah,
doesn't
I
mean you
mean,
should
that
double down on it.
Well, then he did
I was a poor
apologize.
example
So we did.
to Ducey on the phone, but I just think he should acknowledge that he was a poor example for.
Well, but no, I'm sorry. He should acknowledge he's human. Because that happens sometimes when people ask you endless stupid questions from one particular place. And sometimes you just lose it for a second. The
Endless
difference
stupid questions.
is, he said, okay, let me call him and apologize because that happens. And I think that, for me, is the representation of what a human being as president should be.
An adult.
Yes.
And also-
An adult.
I hear you,
Wait,
Babe. I hear you, Whoopi,
It
but
points out the difference between Biden and Trump.
Yeah.
Because Trump, let us not forget, said that the press is the enemy of the people.
Yeah.
Right.
Even Chris Wallace acknowledged that in 2019. He said, I believe that President Trump is engaged in the most direct, sustained assault on freedom of the press in our history. So, okay, so he's so
lying
stupid
dog-faced
SOB,
pony
he
soldier.
says. It's nothing compared
it's
to
not,
what
but
Trump said
I,
or
I,
did.
I agree with you, but we can't keep comparing him.
Yes, you
to
can.
Trump.
You must remember.
And I think you're
so.
right
I mean,
about that.
I
Yeah,
just,
I think-
We can't keep
and
on
and
comparing.
and really, it's not like
And I will.
Ducey. I mean, it wasn't. There are stupid questions, but he was asking about inflation, which is a real issue, and the
Yes.
midterm elections, which are right around
But
the corner.
again,
It's not like he was asking about
But it
something
was a
conspiratorial.
it was a
you were-
sarcastic question, though, right, Lisa? I mean, he's like, will that be a liability? Of course, it's a liability. And he also asked. him
Listen, he's
previously
smart
something
enough to
about
know.
moving the country to
Exactly. That's what he wanted. He got what he wanted. He asked a question
Yeah.
that wasn't worthy of him asking it.
True,
and,
but
you know,
true, but
sometimes
also the president's smart
but
enough
some-
to know that he's standing in front
Sometimes,
of
yes,
a lot of
yes.
people with a microphone.
That's why he didn't do it in.
He should.
First of all,
be right back. I'm gonna go cry.
for America,
Yes.
I just can't do it anymore. I just don't understand
This
why
is just
who watches the show.
embarrassing.
But this is what happens when you have like you're so worried about the narrative, you're so worried about your guy looking bad in a moment, you're like willing to excuse whatever. When in reality, when Trump would do something like that, they would just be like, "Oh, this is a stain on Americans' history."
A sustained assault on the freedom of press.
They're so over dramatic. Everything is over dramatized to the point where I just can't even take it anymore sometimes, where I'm just like, hi hat, low hat says, how do these people have jobs? I don't know. Oh no.
Not only jobs, but they get paid, I mean, millions
Way more than you and I will make.
ever in our lifetime.
I don't understand. P.S.
Did Biden call him and apologize?
Yeah, Biden called Ducey and said, no hard feelings.
That was his apology?
Yeah.
Well, I do applaud him for at least trying.
I think that's great. And I applaud more Peter Ducey for just shrugging it off and laughing it off, because who cares?
Right.
If the president called me a son of a bitch, I don't care.
Right.
I don't care. And so it's like, who's the more adult? Is it Biden for calling him a son of a bitch and then apologizing? Sure, that's an adult move. But more adult, and a perfect example of what all our culture should be about, what we should be standing for, is when people say mean things to you or tell you horrible things or call you names or misgender you or whatever like trigger thing you want to talk about in today's culture, is just shrugging it off and moving on,
Right.
because there are better things to talk about. You know, I'm not hurt just because you called me mean words. I'm not dying. I'm doing just fine.
Everyone has an opinion. Doesn't mean you're going to like or agree. To move on. That's something
Exactly.
we learn as like first graders.
right.
You know?
Well, it's not necessarily being taught as much anymore 'cause when I worked in education.
Is that right?
Yeah, it's like bullying is now just purely hurtful words, and like it's almost like if you say anything mean, you are bullied by everyone. Everyone like bands together. It's kind of a weird phenomenon.
Well,
but
it's just like the transgender thing, though.
Right.
Because
You can't talk.
You can't
speak
say
negative.
anything, or you'll get completely wiped off the face of the earth.
Right, because you're attacking
vulnerable.
someone's faith and their ideology and their truth. You're not attacking. You're not just like questioning their like who they are. You're attacking a person's foundation, their faith, their religion, the way they view the world, their worldview, their bias, their culture, their family, and they feel like by you saying that you're dismissing them as a person. By just critiquing, by just saying maybe you shouldn't do that. Maybe it's like, I don't care. Go dress up. Put a dress on. I don't care. Do whatever you want. We can talk about it, whatever you want. But to pretend like you can go and
Pretend like you're
beat the shit out of a woman in an MMA fight is a joke.
Pretend like you're a protected, vulnerable class when you're the ones canceling and getting people fired.
Right. You're not marginalized.
You're not
You're
marginalized.
the aggressor.
You are the aggressor. You are the loudest voice.
Right.
Who's getting their way, whether the way in which you do it is right or wrong.
Right. You know, like the marginalized voices. So you'll see things on like TikTok and stuff. Be like, I'll see like a black man say like, I think the white man is the most marginalized, the most like beat up voice in America, and people will be like, bullshit. Like it's the transgender, it's this and this, and like you're proving the point right now by you fighting this.
They'll call him a black male, a white supremacist.
Right. Like you're proving, but you're proving the point by continuing bashing this guy and white man. It would be if it was the opposite. If it was like a transgender person saying like they're marginalized, no one's gonna go on and say you're a piece of crap. People are just gonna be like applauding you.
Right.
And so pretend like it's like you're the most marginalized class. It's just silly. It's not like truthful. And I get there are some areas in the world where you're like treated horribly and all that kind of stuff. We can have a discussion about that. But to say that you are hated is in our culture today is not. It's just a lie. Speaking of hated, Nancy Pelosi announced that she's running again.
Oh.
Yeah, I put a tweet. I said Nancy Pelosi running again. 81 years old. Net worth $115 million. She's a person of the people.
What was her net worth when she started?
I don't know. That's a great question.
I thought she was going to stop running.
I thought she was going to.
So they must be already corrupting the next election. She wouldn't go down sinking.
No, I think she
must know something that we don't.
No, she's in San Francisco. She's not going to lose. What? It's like AOC. Like she said like even Nancy Pelosi said in AOC's district, as long as you got a D in front of your name, you'll do just fine.
Let's get degrees.
These get degrees, and they also get diseases.
These get these seats in Congress.
Okay. Okay, next video, and then we'll wrap it up. But I think this pretty much summarizes our culture. Here is
Context.
the Island Boys
Yes.
are being paid
Yes.
by the U.S. Army
Yeah.
for a recruiting video.
Excuse me.
I'm not kidding. So
No,
listen.
this has to be a joke.
Let's listen to this video. Okay, ready? Here it
How
is.
long do I have to prepare my heart for?
It's only 27 seconds.
Okay.
It's TikTok.
Go ahead.
Ready?
Army recruiter giving out bonuses, paid vacation,
and a free college, no money.
Hey, invite me right now, Sergeant Thomas.
I want to be in the Army.
Invite me right now, Thomas. Hey, changing lives, I'm telling you right now, man. Hey, you an island boy, you get with Sergeant Thomas right now. He's helping people right now. He's doing the good, positive things, man. I'm telling you.
Because he's a real honorary island boy. We love him. We support him all the way.
I just can't. I just freaking can't.
Okay.
I just can't anymore. It's like I see this stuff and it just breaks me. You see that one of them said, "Hey, I'm about to join the army." I'm just kidding. I get what you're.
He said I'm kidding because he knew.
I know. He's
he
like, I don't want
knew.
to join that crap, dude.
Well, he knew when he said that, he would never stop getting emails and phone calls
know.
from the recruiter.
Yeah, I was like,
Hey
you
man,
think
I
you're going to
heard
the
you
army
were.
with those
I heard you were.
tattoos on your face.
I heard you were interested. Hey man, I heard you were interested. 3 weeks, 3 years.
Oh yeah. I think I still get recruiters
You do.
texting me just like, "Hey, I was looking at your application and I was like, dude, I put that in like 20 years ago." But this is where we're at. We're getting Island Boys for recruiting videos.
Our military must be so desperate.
We're gonna do like people are so pumped to go to war with Russia, and I'm just like, I'm just an island boy. Just trying to make it. All right, this has been a fun show.
Great times.
It's been a great time. Justin, hi hat, low hat. Everyone else, shout out for you guys joining us. Appreciate you. If you want to support my show, you go to buymeacoffee.com/DerekO'Shea. I greatly appreciate it. I hope you guys have a great day. Thanks for helping me stay sane, you guys. I freaking love you guys. Look out for my show, live show tomorrow, and I appreciate every single one of you. I hope you guys have a freaking fantastic night. Good. Bye. Welcome to the Derek O'Shea Show, where we discuss culture, news, politics, and more. Sit back, relax, and I hope you enjoy the show. Be sure to tell your friends and family about the revolution.